Um, hmm. Sorry, I'm just thinking to myself of where I want to go, because I kind of, in that last point, I definitely got very distracted with what I was saying. But the whole long and short of this discussion is whatever it is that you want to do in life, just do it. That is probably the best way that I can summarize this whole thing. Um, hmm. And whatever it is that you want to do, make time to do it. I think that's actually the most important thing that I needed to say, because you can make a lot of excuses. Back before I started doing what I wanted to do, which was writing, by the way. I used to watch a lot of videos, and I used to watch a lot of people trying to explain the situation, explain what it is about this thing that you need to do, why it's important, this, that, and the other. And I watched those videos, and then I did nothing. And it was doing nothing that was the worst part about it, because in watching those videos, I felt smarter. I felt that, oh yeah, I know this, I can point this out, blah, 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 and that's great, except for the part where there's no action. So for anything that you want to do, just make time for it. And I understand that a lot of people are in situations. I assume if you're watching this, watching anything Naruto related, you're in your early to mid 30s, probably a little older than that. So I understand that, everyone has their own responsibilities for where they're at in life. But maybe like an hour, a couple minutes before you go to sleep, you just write the idea, right? Like that, you can do that. And the thing about writing the idea is that it actually gives you the ability to take what was in your mind and bring it to reality. There's something, an old saying that's along the lines of write the vision and make it plain so that those who see it can run with it. The whole point of writing it out, and the whole point of writing it out is so that you can motivate yourself by seeing that, by knowing that what was in my head I put to pen, paper, or button and digital screen, and bring it into reality. And in that also, there was something I wanted to talk about. Well, I'm actually talking about a lot more than I thought I would. Is, what happens when, like, there's a process between your head and your hands where your idea is being transferred, and for whatever reason, like, it just doesn't line up with how you saw it. I know this a lot because when I was little, I wanted to draw and draw a lot. And of course, you can see amazing pictures in your head, but when it comes time to make them into reality, there's something, I don't know what it is about it. It just does not line up properly, but that's okay, because in that process, you are actually participating in practicing. And it's by doing the process over and over and over and over again until you can get to that point where you just think the thing, you hit the buttons, and then it just happens. And that's like that's a thing for everything. And I don't know, maybe you're a type of person who doesn't want to practice. Well, here's news for you, buddy. I don't think there's a person on planet Earth who hasn't tried practicing for anything, who is just naturally good at whatever we're trying to do. Maybe there was one person, but in any case, if you're the kind of person who doesn't want to practice for anything, then you probably haven't found that thing that you really want to do yet. Because when I when I'm talking about practicing, this is, from my experience, it was all unintentional, right? This was just something that I wanted to do. I had no interest in practicing. When I first got started, I intended for my first thing to be a masterpiece. I'm not kidding you. But it was in enjoying the process of creating, just loving the fact that I'm now taking what is in my head and putting it to something, putting pen to paper and making it a genuine reality is, when that whole process just took over. Yeah, it's when that whole process just took over, and it was no longer it was no longer a thought like, oh, I gotta practice this, I gotta do that. It was just, I'm enjoying myself, and okay, it was just, I'm enjoying myself in this whole scenario. There's a lot I want to say, and I'm choosing to think of the correct way to say it. So while I try to figure that out, I'll say this. Aw, man, I was hoping to save that for a different stream. Whatever, I'll say it anyways. For whatever it is that you're trying to do, you should okay, so this is another thought process that I was going through when trying to figure out how to create. So like the example on screen, something like Naruto, or I saw something like, I don't know, Hunter x Hunter, for lack of a better term, just these great series that have been around for years, and their creators were able to just, make them great, or maybe they didn't even start great, but I'm getting ahead of myself here. But, their creators were able to do amazing things with them, and when you look at something that is amazing, there's a good chance that probably isn't the author's first work. I can tell you, I'm 90% sure Naruto wasn't Kishimoto's first work. That was a series I can't name right now. And, same with Hunter x Hunter and Dragon Ball and shows like that. Okay, let me try that again. What I'm saying is that oftentimes we can look at things that are great, and we're not able to see where the author started, or the writer, or writer, author, what am I talking about? Where the person started. And so at times it is important to find the origin point so that you don't look at the giant canvas that they made, and instead you look at this tiny little doodle they did in the corner. And that tiny little doodle is good, right? I want to talk about this more in detail in a different video, but what I'm trying to say is, don't get so tied up with whatever is the big thing, or whatever is your favorite thing. For instance, actually, that's my thing that I want to say. Whatever is your favorite thing, favorite TV show, movie, comic book, video game, do yourself a favor. When you're creating, don't look at it, because you're gonna compare yourself to it, and you're probably going to say, it's not good as this. This is so much better than that. Forget that. You don't need that kind of thinking. Instead, try and find something a little rougher around the edges where you can go, they sold this for money. They really sold this for money. And I think that's a lot more healthier, not only for you who is growing as a creative. No, actually, that's the end of the sentence. It's more healthy for you who is growing as a creative, because if you can see something that's lower on the rung, where it's not that impressive, but you can see the heart that the person put into it. It's not a lazy throw something at a wall just for the sake of it. That does a lot more to build a person's confidence, because you may not be able to draw the Mona Lisa, but you can certainly do a doodle of Buzz Lightyear. Did I go to the right shop? No. It's supposed to be an automatic cutscene. Oh, I did go to the right shop. Okay. Did I? Am I bugging? I think I am. Okay, Sakura is gonna say, oh, that's why. Reading, man. It's a skill. It truly is. So another thing I wanted to talk about is actually reading. I can't believe how well that's sunk up. So, in wanting to become a writer and looking up a bunch of videos on YouTube on how to write, this, that, and the other, the people there are telling me so much good information. You want to know what the biggest issue that I had was? It was the fact that I didn't, read the type of fiction that I wanted to create. Because my general background in terms of reading, at least when I became a teenager, was manga. I said that like an American. It was manga, particularly Naruto. And so when you're reading in a medium that is mostly visual storytelling, like Naruto is, you don't get as much. It was the other way. You don't get as much out of it. You don't understand the kind of things that they're doing in the writing space because it's visually told to you. And so I recommend that if someone out there wants to create a TV show, a movie, a book, a comic, whatever it is, that they get into reading that particular material, because it's in the reading where a lot of the understanding is. Sure, there is stuff that can happen on screen that you can't really put into words. And that, again, is the challenge of, how do you say, show don't tell. It's a challenge of writing for a visual medium, I guess, for lack of a better term, where whatever is happening on screen can display whatever, a handful of sentences would describe. Like, okay, take this for example. Let's say that Naruto, there's a panel of Naruto on screen, right? And Naruto and Sakura are having a conversation. It's not important because that guy with the sticks coming up in the background is about to interrupt their conversation and tell them that the Hokage has something important information. You can convey how unimportant that information is via the fact that there is no text bubble, right? Because this is not important for the reader to understand, so there's no text. It's just the picture. But in something like a written medium, you would have to just, how do I say? You would have to toss in something like, it's hard to come up with something when I'm on the spot, but it would essentially be something like Naruto and Sakura were his mansion arrived to give them their next mission details, something like that, right? And basically what I'm trying to say is that, from my perspective, as someone who wanted to write, it's important that you understand those kind of specificities when it comes to writing, and not just look at your favorite thing because, hey, it's cool and you like it. You can definitely do that. Don't misunderstand. You can definitely just look at whatever you want, and the cool thing will just what's the word I'm trying to say here? You can definitely look at what you want and learn a lot from it, but you can learn a lot more by reading, picking apart those pieces, and things of that nature. I'll tell you this: when I first got into writing, the hardest thing for me to understand was how to describe a scene, right? And so I didn't necessarily know of any kind of books in the genre that I wanted to read, in the genre that I wanted to write for to read. So what I ended up doing was I looked up the Hardy Boys, right? And so, because I have a huge Hardy Boy thing, and anyways, I take out the first book and I read it. And you want to know what the first page is? That exact thing that I couldn't understand. Like the first 3 pages is describing a scene in the Hardy Boys, and the book wastes no time in getting into it. And so I went, I pretend I hit my desk because I completely missed it, but I went like, man, that's what they're trying to say? Shoot, man, I could have done that. But there is a level of understanding that is lost without you going through those kind of motions, which ties into what I was talking about earlier about hitting your head into a brick wall. Like that was a situation where you kind of just have to go for it, right? Like what's the word I want to say? I don't know, like me with this whole audio situation, and I cannot hear anything from the game. It took me to actually sit down right here and go, I can't hear the audio. Well, maybe I could hook up my capture device on my desktop and I could listen to the audio there even though it's delayed. You know, like, it's not perfect, but it's a solution to the problem that I couldn't get to unless I got to this state. And let me tell you, I've been thinking about doing this for months. No, years. It's been years since I had the idea to do a live stream like this. And, you know, just... it was a process. It was a process getting to here. And one of the things I hope the most is that me talking into the mic right now, that it's good. Because I have no idea if I'm sitting too close to the mic, if the mic is peaking or something like that. Because, you know, I just couldn't get into the flow of things before now. So, that was a lot of a lot of things that didn't necessarily have to do with Naruto. But no, it's kind of tangentially related, right? Chase your dreams, because the Hokage was a dream for Naruto. Being respected by everyone and things of that nature. That seems so far off, but the kid worked on it, and hey, you know, he what is the lore? Excuse me. What has been the lore as of recently in Boruto? I say that knowing that I don't actually care about Boruto's lore. You know, just to go over this briefly, nothing about the series personally. I just, you know, when Naruto hit that ending, I was good. You know, it was over, and I was actually very happy for it to be over, because at the time Naruto was ending, I was getting very burnt out of the series. So when it was done, great, just great. You know, that's it. No more to, well, there is more to talk about. I just don't have the time for it anymore. Finally, I can go to Ichiraku. But yeah, that's basically what's been on my heart for the longest time, is, you know, helping people, you know, just helping people get out of the funk of whatever they were in and just actually take on their lives. Because, you know, I think this to myself a lot. Yesterday was 2005. And, you know, as I get older, time feels to be going faster and faster. And whatever the reason for that may be, you know, people who used to be here ain't here anymore. And I'm not going to sit on the things that I want to do and just think about them, because that's infuriating. I can no longer be that person who just thinks of this idea and not try and act on it in some way, shape, or form. Oh man, something just came to mind. It was so what I wanted to talk about earlier with social media, and then I forgot, was the aspect that it can be a really good way of finding other people to collaborate with. Because something about ideas and things of that nature is sometimes you don't even have the ability to carry out that idea in the fullest. Like, you know, maybe you, I don't know, have an idea that takes $1 million, right? First things first, you need to find that person who has, actually, no, I gotta correct myself. The first thing you have to do is to actually structure that idea, put it down, put it to paper, put it on some kind of device where you can see it, you can look at it, and you can go, oh, it's missing this. And that's also another thing about that, you know, what did I say earlier? How did it go again? Give me a second. Write the vision and make it plain. There we go. That's what it was. Write the vision and making it plain. The other purpose of it is to, at least in my mind, is to see the pieces you're missing so you can fill them in. Right? And so, you know, when after you get that whole process done, now it's time to look for a person who has $1 million who can help you accomplish this idea. And that's a really good aspect of social media. You know, maybe you are a writer, or maybe you're an artist, right? You put your stuff out on Twitter, you hope that it goes somewhere, yada yada yada, and you know, maybe it doesn't, but it gets someone's attention who is a writer, and with your artwork and their writing, you can bring something together that is amazing. In fact, that is more or less what happened to the guy who made One Punch Man. You know, he wasn't much of an artist, but he could write. Or he could write. I mean, you know, I'm talking about it now, so yes, he can write. The whole story, I don't quite remember, but somehow or another, through posting his stuff, he got the attention of Yusuke Murata. I'm not personally familiar with Yusuke's work, but, you know, he can draw great. And now One Punch Man is a household name to anime fans. And all of this from a man who couldn't draw. And you know what? Since we'll bring it back to Haikyuu, the guy who, this is conjecture. As far as I'm concerned, I don't know. This is secondhand information. So really, I shouldn't even be telling you this, unless I do my own research. But as far as I heard, the guy who made Haikyuu couldn't draw. And the guy who made Kuroko no Basket was told that the fans who were sending in artwork of Kuroko are drawing better than him. So, you know, a lot of potential is out there for people who may be lacking in a certain skill. You know, you don't necessarily need to have all the answers, I'm trying to say, in a very roundabout way. You know, there could be someone else later on down the line who ends up helping you out in some way, shape, or form. In fact, if I remember correctly, Food Wars is made by 3 people. A writer, an artist, and a chef, I think. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. Again, I shouldn't be saying all the stuff that I'm not 100% certain of, but I hope you can get the idea of what it is that I'm trying to say. How long have I been going at this for? Roughly an hour. Okay. So, first I'm going to take a sip of water. And now, I'm going to debate on continuing the game or not. Let's see. The Kazakage fight is up next. You know what? I think I'm gonna call it, actually. I went over a lot. It was pretty messy, but that's also, like, I want everyone to understand that just as, you know, I told you all to practice, I'm practicing too. I'm literally practicing in the moment right now of doing whatever. You know what? Actually, let's just go. I'm practicing in the moment. Am I gonna get hit with a cutscene the second I finish that fight? I probably am. Man. You know what? Let's just do it anyways. That fight's pretty cool. No. Okay, I'm sorry. I tricked everyone. I'm not gonna do it because I probably shouldn't overexpend myself when I'm not used to doing stuff like this. And I know that sounds very ridiculous, but I'm out of like topics to talk about right now. So because of that, I don't want to get into a situation where I'm not doing much of anything but just watching Naruto and literally watching it. I can't hear anything. So, yeah. Let me rephrase that. I can't hear any of the game's audio. But to go back to what I was saying, I'm practicing in the moment too. I'm not used to streaming. Back in the day, I used to be a guy who was making a bunch of written and edited content for YouTube. So this is very much so out of my wheelhouse. Excuse me. It's strange, and I'm not going to lie. When the idea first came, when my father told me about this, it was like a shock to the system. And I'm like, But, you know, you can't be ruled by those emotions. I think emotions are good. Emotions can help you out in a lot of areas. But if you're ruled by your emotions, then I don't even think you're a help to yourself. You know, how do I say? The words are difficult to come by, but basically you gotta learn to control your emotions and not let your emotions control you. So in any case, yeah. I'm really glad I didn't go to Gara right then, because I'm fresh at things to talk about. But hey, I hope you enjoyed the live stream. I don't actually have a schedule as of right now as to when I'm going to do this. It is... Right now I'm playing it by ear. That will change in time, but I appreciate you stopping by, and see you all next time. Until then.